Now to wrap the mobile application, we will make the CmpEnd component that will handle the game over screen with the achieved score and an encouraging text that will change according to the score obtained, and also with the play again button. As usual, we start by deleting the label we created for the starting tests, and we add the HTML renderer that will visualize the cheering message with the following stencil. Like we see here, it takes a message as the parameter, and we leave a large padding on the top, left and right. We add another HTML renderer that will display the scoring with the following stencil. We are going to receive the parameters score and total rounds. We set up a large padding on the bottom, and we finally add a play again button. We name the button and the text play again. We give it a success color scheme, large font size, we align it on the center, and padding on the top. Now for the logic, this component will receive the game ID through the model. It will check for the game state against the macro service, and it will display a final message and the scoring. If you guys recall from the CMP round component, the associated event to the bottom sends the user response and navigates to this CmpEndGame component, passing the game ID. So the first thing we need to do is create this variable on the model, read it on the main init event function, and do an API game state request to the microservice to get the full game state. With this information, we fill the HTML renderer for the final message and the score. And for the final message, we will use a helper function called getFinalMessageByScore that will get from a score and the total number of rounds, meaning the maximum score, a message. So let's quickly create it. This function is going to return a message according to the score, and we are going to use the ranges 0 to 25%, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100, where the 100 is the perfect score. So let's now calculate the score percentage. And we can try all the ranges to return a corresponding message. To wrap it up, we will create and implement logic for the button to play again that will basically navigate to the CMP start game for a new game. Once we finish the development of all the components, we will run the application to see all of it running and reflect on what we did so that we can keep on growing or fine-tuning our application. we can see a cheering text on the game over, the score, and the play again button. As we can see, a possible improvement is that the user could already be preset, since the CmpEndGame has the player name from the game state, so we can have the same user replay without retyping his name each time. So we can create a model variable with the player name, and we can read it if it comes from the starting model to preset it on the text box. Furthermore, from a style point of view, we could improve some aesthetics with bigger separations on the left side of the options. So let's do this iteration and we can see how to solve these features we are proposing now. Okay, so now that we see that the application works well, let's do the improvements we just talked about. Again, new game with pre-filled player name, and also the styles issue, meaning that we are going to add a large padding on the left of the options group widget. Now let's continue with the names autocomplete. For that we need to add the player name to the model of the CmpStartGame component, and the CmpEndGame must in turn also send it. First, let's go to the CmpEndGame, and we are going to create the variable player name of type string in the model. And we are going to store it when we get the game state from the microservice on the main init event. Once we store it, we are going to open the button click function. We're going to read the variable and we are going to send it to the starting model of the CmpStartGame we are navigating to. That's all from this side of the components. Now let's go to the CmpStartGame. And in here we also need to add the player name to the model. And on the main init, we're going to set it on the text box after reading it. And on the main init, we are going to set it on the text box. Now let's try again the whole application to do a quick test. And now that we finished one game, let's click on the play again. And we can see it sets the text box correctly. So this should be enough for the mobile application development and its connection to the microservice. And so let's move on to the next chapter now.